What would you do if your child disappeared in front of dozens of witnesses and no one saw a thing? It's every parent's most devastating nightmare, made flesh on an ordinary Saturday afternoon. The sun bright overhead, the cheers of parents echoing across the field until one voice transforms into a scream that silences everything else. For 4 years, James Bennett and Dinah lived with the unbearable weight of not knowing what happened to their 7-year-old son, Micah. Dinah had traveled for a business trip when her son vanished during a kids' soccer game, while surrounded by teammates, coaches, and parents. 37 people were present, not one witness. How does a child evaporate in plain sight? What dark currents flow beneath the surface of our seemingly safe communities? And what lengths would you go to if the authorities gave up the search for your missing child? If you're fascinated by cases that reveal the darkest truths hiding in plain sight, subscribe now and hit the notification bell. Pinegrove, Michigan doesn't appear on many maps. A collection of modest homes nestled between thick woods and Lake Huron shoreline. It's a place where everyone knows your name, your business, and probably your secrets too. The kind of town where children still play outdoors until streetlights summon them home. At the center of our story is 7-year-old Micah Bennett. With a mop of curly brown hair and eyes that sparkle with curiosity, Micah possesses the kind of natural talent that makes other parents whisper on the sidelines. Even at his young age, he moves with the soccer ball as if it's tethered to his feet, a gift that brought rare smiles to his father's weathered face. James Bennett worked his hands raw at the local construction company, calloused fingers a testament to the 3 years he'd spent raising Micah alone. James navigated fatherhood with quiet determination, learning to braid hair and cut crusts off sandwiches, all while working overtime to keep their world intact. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, James would rush from work, still in his dust-covered boots, to watch Micah practice under the watchful eye of Coach Wesley Denton. For 27 years, Denton had shaped Pinegrove's youth and children's soccer program. His championship trophies filled the town hall display case, and his authoritative voice echoed across the field as small cleats pounded the grass. Parents trusted him implicitly, grateful for the structure he provided their children. October 12th, 2019 dawned bright and cool in Pinegrove. A perfect autumn Saturday for the season's final game. Parents arranged folding chairs along the sidelines. James arrived early, thermos of coffee warming his hands. Micah's team jersey was freshly washed and ironed. Number 7, his lucky number. But when the whistle blew at 10 o'clock, Micah wasn't on the field. October 17th began like any other Saturday at Meadowbrook Park. The autumn air carried a slight chill as parents huddled under blankets, steaming coffees in hand, watching their children compete in the regional youth soccer playoffs. 10-year-old Micah Bennett, number 7 on the Meadowbrook Falcons, moved with unusual grace for someone his age. 8 minutes into the second half, Micah intercepted a pass. The crowd tensed as he navigated through defenders, his cleats barely touching the grass. With a swift kick, he sent the ball soaring past the goalkeeper's outstretched hands. The scoreboard flickered. Falcons 2, Eagles 1. Teammates mobbed Micah, tousling his dark curls. Micah beamed, scanning the crowd until his eyes locked with his parents. A perfect moment frozen in time. At 3:15 p.m., the referee called a water break. Players scattered toward their respective benches. Micah grabbed his blue water bottle, took a long drink, then set it down. He pointed toward the playground adjacent to the field, making a hand gesture to Coach Patrick Denton, who nodded with apparent approval. That was the last confirmed sighting of Micah Bennett. It took precisely 7 minutes for anyone to notice. Coach Denton looked around during lineup adjustments, assuming Micah had rejoined the bench. By 3:30 p.m., his peers approached the sidelines, asking where his son was. By 3:35, James had checked the bathrooms. By 3:40, parents from both teams had fanned out across the park. The playground stood empty. The nearby woods revealed nothing. The parking lot showed no signs of disturbance. Micah, 4'6", wearing a yellow jersey, blue shorts, and black cleats, had vanished without a trace. Hours crawled by and night fell. Police lights bathed the soccer field in rotating blue. Search dogs sniffed Micah's jersey, then dragged handlers in contradictory directions. Volunteers combed every inch of the park, calling his name until their voices grew hoarse. By morning, Detective Valerie Reeves took command of the investigation, her calm demeanor masking 20 years of experience with missing persons cases. Coach Denton appeared devastated, his hands trembling during questioning. "I thought he'd just want to grab something," he repeated, voice cracking. It was only supposed to be a minute. His alibi checked out. Dozens had seen him on the field when Micah disappeared. 48 hours passed, and there were no ransom demands. No sightings and no evidence of what happened to Micah Bennett after he walked away from that soccer field. Would you have suspected anyone in this situation? What would your first instinct be as the hours ticked by without answers? Hit that like button if you've already figured out who might be responsible, and comment your theories below. After 72 hours, Meadowbrook Police Department transformed the community center into command headquarters. Detective Reeves directed a team of 14 officers meticulously tracking leads. They compiled a list of registered offenders within 50 miles, interviewed every adult present at the game, and reviewed traffic camera footage from all routes leading away from the park. The town rallied immediately. Volunteers distributed flyers with Micah's gap-toothed smile across 5 counties. Coach Denton emerged as an unexpected pillar of community action. He canceled practices, instead organizing daily search parties that combed increasingly remote areas. He launched an online fundraiser that gathered $50,000 in 3 days for reward money. At candlelight vigils, his voice broke as he promised, "We will find him. We will bring Micah home." By week 2, regional networks aired hourly updates. The Bennett's living room became a media hub, with James repeatedly recounting the day's timeline for different cameras. James Bennett's transformation was stark. Sleep-deprived and increasingly gaunt, he mortgaged their home to hire Westbrook Investigations, a private firm specializing in child abductions. When police mentioned a potential lead in a neighboring county that proved false, James punched a wall, breaking 2 knuckles. He continued searching with his hand in a cast. "Someone knows something," he told reporters, his voice hoarse from calling his son's name through forests and abandoned buildings. Someone saw something that day. Private billboards appeared along interstates in 3 surrounding states, Micah's face and the reward amount towering above commuters. James Bennett appeared on national morning shows, now unshaven and 20 pounds lighter. Detective Reeves watched these interviews from her office, noting how Coach Denton always positioned himself supportively beside the man during press conferences. She replayed footage of the soccer game, studying the coach's casual nod when Micah indicated the playground. 6 weeks in, James Bennett's doctor prescribed medication for anxiety and insomnia. Diana withdrew completely by the time she returned and heard the bad news, refusing all interviews. Their marriage showed visible fractures during rare joint appearances. Meanwhile, Coach Denton managed the Find Micah Foundation with remarkable efficiency, his concern never wavering, his commitment to the search never faltering. The abandoned recreation center on Maple Avenue stood silent for years, its walls containing forgotten memories of children's laughter and community gatherings. When renovation crews arrived in spring 2023, they expected dust, decay, and perhaps some minor structural issues, not the truth that had been concealed behind its walls for over a decade. Carlos Mendez, head of the maintenance team, noticed that during the 3rd day of demolition, a wall panel that didn't quite match the others in the eastern corridor. The difference was subtle, a millimeter gap where there shouldn't be one, a slight variation in color that most would overlook. "Something's off with this section," Carlos called to his crew. A gentle push revealed the truth. The panel swung inward, exposing a cavity approximately 2 feet square. The beam of Carlos's flashlight illuminated contents that would transform a forgotten missing persons case into something far more disturbing. Inside, a child's soccer cleat, blue and white, size 5, with mud still caked on its cleats. A blue athletic wristband bearing the Panthers logo and the number 23. a water bottle with faded dinosaur stickers, and most chilling, a plastic folder containing 17 photographs of young boys, all appearing between 8 and 12 years old, each labeled with dates spanning from 2009 to 2011. Carlos's hand trembled as he recognized one face among them. That's the Williams boy, the one who vanished. Within 40 minutes, the construction site transformed into a crime scene. Yellow tape cordoned off the area as forensic technicians cataloged each item, their expressions grim behind their masks. Detective Eleanor Reeves had been 2 months from retirement when the call came through. She had carried the Micah Williams case like a weight around her neck for 12 years. The boy who disappeared after soccer practice, leaving behind no trail, no witnesses, no closure. "We found items belonging to Micah Williams," the officer explained over the phone, hidden inside a wall at the old recreation center. Reeves arrived at the scene with 12 years of theories and dead ends playing in her mind. She slipped on latex gloves and examined the small cleat. The initials MW were still visible, written in fading marker on the heel. 5 miles away, James Bennett was preparing dinner when his phone rang. After 12 years of unanswered prayers and false hopes, the father of Micah received the call that would shatter the fragile peace he'd constructed. "Mr. Williams, this is Detective Reeves. We need you to come down to the station. We found something that may belong to your son." The photographs told a story that would haunt the investigation for months to come. The Recreation Center discovery triggered the largest multi-state investigation the region had ever seen. What began as a local missing child case transformed into a methodical hunt for a phantom who had moved through communities like a ghost, leaving destruction in his wake. Thomas Denon was the name on employment records at the Recreation Center, assistant coach for youth soccer from 2008 to 2011. The photograph showed a bespectacled man with a friendly smile and thinning hair. Parents recalled him as helpful, always willing to stay late for extra practice, always volunteering for overnight trips. Digital forensics specialists worked around the clock, peeling back layers of deception. The Social Security number belonged to a man who died in 1997. The teaching credentials were expert forgeries. The references led to disconnected numbers and abandoned addresses. "We're tracking at least 7 identities," explained FBI Agent Morrison at the interagency briefing. "Different names, same methodology." The timeline materialized on screens around the conference room. A 20-year path winding through Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana, and finally Wisconsin. The pattern was unmistakable. Each new identity coincided with a coaching or teaching position. Each location matched with reports of missing children. 15 cases across 2 decades that had never been connected until now. Dr. Helen Graves, forensic psychologist, addressed the assembled investigators. These offenders build their entire lives around access. They select careers and volunteer positions deliberately. They become trusted community figures. They create opportunities for isolation. Her laser pointer traced the suspect's employment history. Note how he cultivated relationships with vulnerable families, single parents, children needing mentorship. The manhunt intensified as authorities closed in on a small town in northern Minnesota. Intelligence suggested Denton, now using the name Richard Cooper, had established himself at a youth wilderness program 3 years earlier. James Bennett sat motionless in Detective Reeves' office as she explained the evolving investigation. The photographs recovered from a wall had been analyzed. The locations identified. The timeline constructed. The Blue Panthers wristband was a trophy, Reeves said quietly. He kept mementos from each victim. Liam's world collapsed around him. 12 years of hoping his son might somehow return. That Micah had run away, been kidnapped but kept alive. Those hopes disintegrated under the weight of what the evidence suggested. "We'll find him," Reeves promised, though they both understood the hollow nature of those words. Finding the predator wouldn't bring Micah back. The case remains active, with investigators across 5 states piecing together the full extent of the crimes. Meanwhile, the community that once knew little Micah Williams has transformed in his absence. At Lakeside Park, where youth soccer tournaments still fill the air with cheers and whistle blasts, a polished granite bench now catches the morning light. Micah Williams, forever number 23, reads the inscription, surrounded by fresh flowers that community members replace weekly. The Recreation Center reopened with comprehensive security protocols and mandatory background checks that extend beyond standard databases, 2 adult policies for all youth activities, and camera systems covering every entrance, exit, and common area. Parents who once watched games from their cars now participate in mandatory supervision rotations. James channeled his grief into purpose, founding the Midwest Missing Children Network. The organization has trained over 3,000 volunteers in search techniques and helped implement rapid response systems in communities across the region. No parent should wait 12 years for answers, James told reporters at a recent fundraiser. Detective Eleanor Reeves' retirement plaque sits in a drawer, untouched. "I'll go when we bring Micah home," she insists, her desk still covered with maps marking potential search areas. The search for Micah's remains continues in wooded areas surrounding former recreation centers where Thomas Denton worked. Ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs methodically cover terrain that might finally provide closure to a family that has waited far too long for truth. The Micah Williams case exposes how easily trust can be manipulated by those with calculated intentions. Communities must implement thorough verification processes that go beyond surface-level checks, examining employment gaps, verifying credentials directly, and conducting in-person reference checks for anyone working with children. Parents should note when adults seek excessive alone time with children, offer special privileges, or attempt to establish secretive relationships. These warning signs were present, but went unrecognized until too late. Effective protection requires community vigilance, open communication between parents, mandatory reporting training, and systems where children feel safe expressing concerns about adult behavior. Though Micah never returned home, his story has protected countless children through improved safety protocols and awareness. His memory lives on not just in grief, but in the strengthened shields communities have built to protect their most vulnerable members. If you found this story moving, please like this video, subscribe to JPX Story File, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What other unsolved mysteries would you like us to explore?